My name is Fred Swaniker, and I'm the founder of the African Leadership Group. We're a network of organizations on the continent of Africa that aims to address what we see as Africa's greatest challenge, but also its greatest opportunity, which is how do we develop a new generation of leaders for what will eventually be 40% of the world's population. As some of you may know, by the end of this century, 40% of the entire world will be African. And so where Africa goes is where the world will go in this century. And so we are on a mission to ensure that we have a good century. And we see that the single most important opportunity for Africa is to develop a new generation of leaders. And our goal is to develop 3 million leaders for Africa in the next 15 years by 2035 to provide leadership capacity for 40% of the entire world. We do three things. We select exceptional young people that we believe have leadership potential. So people with courage, with passion, with resilience, with imagination, and with good values. And then the second thing we do is we develop this potential through a series of institutions that we have. We have the African Leadership Academy, the African Leadership University. We have a lifelong learning system called ALX. And we bring them into as a mechanism that develops their leadership and entrepreneurial skills, and most importantly, enables them to become problem solvers. Because we believe that leaders are people who solve problems, and they're not just there just to enrich themselves and to accumulate wealth, but really to solve problems. And then the third part of what we do is we then connect these leaders to each other into opportunities. Because one of our beliefs is that no matter how good your skills are as a leader, if you don't have access to the right networks of mentorship, of networks that give you access to capital, networks that give you access to partners, you won't be able to have as much impact as you could. So it's selection, development, and then connecting these leaders to ultimately create a movement that can transform a whole continent. You know, today, the image of Africa is quite different from its reality. You know, most of the news that you see about Africa is about, you know, the stereotype of lack of infrastructure, poverty, political instability, warfare, you know, civil rights abuses, you know, hunger, so many things that, you know, Africa has historically been known for. But the Africa that I know and the Africa that we are building is a very different Africa. It is an Africa where, you know, when you look at, for example, the Economist rankings of the fastest growing economies in the world, between 5 to 7 of the 10 fastest growing economies in the world are in Africa. It is a continent which has the youngest population in the world, and where tremendous innovation is coming out of. Because one of the things I really believe is that constraints drives innovation. And in Africa, we have a lot of constraints. So that is forcing us to reimagine everything. So the future of healthcare is going to come out of Africa. The future of transportation is going to come out of Africa. The future of education is coming out of Africa. Similar to like what we have done in building a new model of education in the African Leadership University. Last year, when Fast Company came up with the list of the 50 most innovative companies in the world, number 15 on that list was Alibaba, number 17 was Apple, and number 39 was ALU. An African university was the most innovative, you know, was the only university in the world on that list of the most innovative companies. It wasn't Oxford, it wasn't Harvard, it wasn't Yale, it was an African university. And that's because we've been forced to reimagine education. And so this is going to happen in all sectors. And there are, you know, tremendous stories like this that are not being told. And as such, you know, I see actually that, you know, developing a new generation of African journalists who think very much in the philosophies that you espouse here at the Constructive Institute, will actually enable a more balanced view. I'm not saying that we shouldn't tell the stories about, you know, the coup d'etat that might happen in Mali, or, you know, the small civil war that might happen in Ethiopia. But those are very often, that is not the full story of Africa. And so what we need is a new generation of journalists that are equipped to, you know, tell stories that are, you know, more constructive and that really highlight the problem solving that is taking place on this continent. And that is highlighting the innovation that is taking place on the continent and the promise of the youngest population in the world. The average age of an African is 19. The average age of a German or Japanese is 47. So the vibrancy of youth and the innovation and entrepreneurship that's going to come out of Africa simply because of that is tremendous. And someone needs to be telling that story. And we hope to play a role in developing amongst the pool of leaders that we're developing, the next generation of leaders in journalism as well. Because of the way media portrays Africa, and I'm talking about both African media and global media, as this continent of doom and gloom. Very often people who are sitting on the continent where there are tremendous opportunities do not see these opportunities. And they then resort to desperate measures to get out of Africa, like emigrating to Europe. And as we see, those sad pictures on TV of people dying, on boats trying to get to Europe. And so this is ultimately even a human rights issue. It is about, because people are risking their lives because of the images that have been imprinted in their brains by what they are seeing in traditional. And so that this is actually why it is an urgent issue to solve. We need to again, I'm not trying to say we need to whitewash what is going on in Africa, right? But that's not what we're saying at all. We're saying we need to, report on both the challenges and the opportunities. And the opportunities are tremendous. Right now, especially with COVID, there's a whole new set of innovations that are coming out because there's yet more constraints that have been put into the picture. And so until this changes, we're unfortunately going to continue seeing those sad images of young Africans who are desperate trying to get out of the continent because all they see is, this image of chaos and negativity. And so that's why, I think that journalism can actually be a very powerful tool for development and for transformation of society. But it has been misused in the past to actually reduce the confidence of young Africans and to remove the belief of Africans in themselves and in the continent. And therefore, what we need to see is a more responsible use of journalism to actually create a fairer and a more balanced view of what the true situation is on the continent. And therefore, we can actually start to see the continent moving forward, which is ultimately what the whole world needs to happen.